During the first selection of Blue Lock, we were introduced to many different young talents throughout the 5 teams in the 5th Stratum, from Team V down to Team Z, and really learned how to turn a 0 into a 1. Now, these players have fought against each other time and time again and managed to climb the ladder and survive all the way to the current arc, being the Neo Egoist League. Now that this arc is coming to a close, I thought that we could go back in time for a little bit to the first arc of Blue Lock and build a team where all of these talents at the level that they are now can play as one. Hey guys, DarkheroJosh here, and in today's video we are going to be going all the way back to the first selection arc and building the strongest team the 5th Stratum has seen. And yes, I know that every Stratum was referred to as the 5th one, but obviously we're going to be talking about the one Isagi and the rest of the main cast was in. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. So in this video, we're going to be using a 5-3-2 formation for this team, mainly for the 2 players I put in the striker position, but also for some other minor reasons I'll mention throughout the video. So just like the first team building video on the channel, we'll start off with the goalkeeper position and work our way up the field, giving the position to our boy Gagamaru Gin. Honestly, I don't even know if I should keep re-explaining why he's first in line for the goalkeeper position for any and every Blue Lock team formation build I'll do, and I think everybody else will do. Gagamaru has the best goalkeeping abilities we've seen in the series so far, and that is including the world-class keepers we've seen as well. From the reaction speed to the flexibility, this man was pretty much in a class of his own when it came to the position. So having Gagamaru in the position of goalkeeper would be a no-brainer to put him in. But if you've seen Gagamaru's stats, you know that he's a really good all-rounder player, which is understandable being that at first he was a striker. But that's another talk for a whole nother day before I go into this deep dive. For the 3 center backs, I have Iki Nico, Raichi Jingo, and Zantetsu Tsurugi. Nico already has some great defensive feats and eyes for the game even before he unlocked the early stages of Metavision in the Neo Egoist League, and a great example was during the U20 Japan game, when Nico was being the watchtower for the Blue Lock 11 and focusing on all the forwards that were swarming around Itoshi's side waiting for his pass, and while he was waiting for the most dangerous player to invade the defensive line, which so happened to be Sendo in that moment, he stopped him in his tracks with ease. He also managed to see through Itoshi's play in the second half of the game for Shiro to score and stop the pass, but at the expense of the rest of his playtime as he injured his ankle. His defense only got better from there after his time in the Italy Ubers, as he became the starter for the Ubers during the game against Bayern Munich. Nico's ball stealing abilities were definitely up there, as he managed to steal the ball from players like Isagi time and time again during the match. Now, after unlocking Metavision, even in the early stages of it, I think that y'all should stop downplaying Nico's skills and start investing in this guy. Towards the end of the first selection, we saw Raichi's true moment of shine during the final match between Team Z and Team V. Throughout the majority of the match, we saw Raichi man-marking the hell out of Rayo like there was no tomorrow. Keep in mind, Rayo was at the time one of the best players in the series that we've seen so far. He also managed to block Zantetsu's shot in that chaotic moment where pretty much everyone was in Team Z's half. Fast forward to the NEL, we see him get another big moment of shine, being man-marking the Crown Messenger, Snuffy, for the short time that he did, of course. Snuffy even needed to give this man his props to where it's due, mentioning that he has good core strength to go one-on-one with him like that. Just on top of his moment, Raichi makes great callouts to the team and really acts like a team player and a team leader, which I feel like a lot of people who do read the series look over it a lot. Making callouts and communicating with the team is one of, if not the most important thing a player could do in not just football, but all team-based sports in general. Someone like Raichi, who has good leadership skills, who can possibly even command the defensive line himself, would be just a great addition to this formation. Now, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of looks for this, but I'd like y'all to hear me out before you start judging me, and that is adding Zantetsu to the defensive line. Now, I understand that in the matches we've seen Zantetsu play so far, he's been on the right wing position, and it's understandable because he has amazing acceleration speed and a golden zone of his own on the right side of the field, but just hear me out. If you watch my full potential video on Zantetsu, then you know that I mentioned that his acceleration speed can be as useful on the defense as well as it is on the offense. With his type of acceleration, he can really just be all over the defensive line, being the first person to press and mark a player that manages to get through the midfield. He would pretty much play the role of Tepe in this formation of being just a speedy type of defender. And if you don't remember what Tepe did, he was pretty much marking Yuki Miya in the match. And although Yuki Miya did get through him many times over and over again in the match, I do believe that if Zantetsu converted to a defender for the sake of this formation and for the sake of this video, has the potential to surpass Neru in his own lane of defense. Overall, having a defensive line that has it all, from the vision and playmaking from Nico, the strength and stamina and leadership from Raichi, and the speed from Zantetsu, this line pretty much has all the key components of the Iron Wall from the former Japan U20 players, and their defense was the team's strong point, so I think that says a lot right from the jump. Moving on to our midfield containing 5 players, let's start off slowly introducing the wings of the team first, being Chigiri Hyoma and Bachira Meguru. Now in this formation, these players actually serve as both the wingers and the backs, giving them a lot of room to work with to drop back or make an attack. Starting with Chigiri, the fastest player in Blue Lock, having him on the left side playing in this position is another no-brainer. Chigiri has the speed and stamina to run up and down the field for the duration of the match, playing the dual role as a winger and a left back for this team. Giving Chigiri all the room to work with his dangerously new speed, I can see him definitely taking over the left side of the field. Chigiri can also make pretty good passes and crosses like he did in the 3rd selection in the U20 match, so honestly, if he isn't the one to go for the goal, he can definitely be a great support player. And honestly, if the ball goes out due to the keeper, I got my boy Chigiri taking the corner kicks any day of the week for this team. Bachira not being much of a pace abuser like our Red Panther friend on the left, he does have a lot to his bag that I don't really think a lot of people have actually grasped how deep it is. Bachira was pretty much known at the beginning of the series to be a great post player, mainly to characters like Isagi, Rin, and even Nagi in the 2nd selection and 1st selection, and actually giving them pretty good passes in front of the goal, making their jobs much easier. We've also seen a lot of crazy solo plays from him, like against Team V or in the 2nd selection, and even in the U20 match, managing to break through the entirety of these teams he was up against and absolutely dominating on them with the help of his free-like dribbling. Even in the NEL, he has the best dribbling and became the team's dynamo that they all revolve around. Although not being much of the speedy type of player that Chigiri is, I do believe that Bachira can take over the right side of the field and play these 2 positions very well simultaneously, with his crazy Jenga X monster style and rushing through any extras that try to get in his way and take away his freedom. Now in the midfield section, I have Mikage Reo on the left, Isagi Yoichi on the right, and Nagi Seishiro in the middle of it all. Now I know a lot of you guys who watched my last team building video that were like, oh, where's Nagi? Oh, you should add Nagi. Well, here he is. I know a lot of you guys are relieved to see him on the pitch after being forgot about in the last video, so I added him just for you guys. Now stop the glaze. Nah, but all jokes aside though, I'm adding Nagi in this position mainly because I know players like Isagi and Reo could and definitely would want to use him to fill up that spot a bit more upfield behind the 2 forwards and kind of act like a support player to them to break through the midfield if need be. We've seen Nagi able to make some great passes with the help of his crazy traps that can literally blow life into the ball itself, and we've literally seen this throughout the story, with each trap being crazier than the last. Nagi has one of the highest shooting stats on this team apart from the 2 strikers that I have, but I think having him in the center of the midfield with the ability to move up a bit more would be a great position for him on this team, and at the same time making him able to make some great 1-2 passes to these strikers and even his fellow midfielders, and even score if he really wanted to. Now moving on to Reo, we know that even though him and Nagi started the sport just 6 months ago, his knowledge of the game and playmaking ability is amazing. As we've seen in the 1st selection for Team V, every play pretty much started with him, truly being the brains for the team, making all the plays, calling all the shots for Nagi and Zantetsu during the 1st selection to make full use of their weapon and crazy scoring ability to mass produce goals for the team. Now, in the Neo Eagles League, almost perfecting his chameleon copy technique, he can make crazy Itoshi Sai type passes to help the team and possibly throw the other team off with making passes that look like shot attempts. Being the midfielder for Manshine City as well, Rayo has great offensive feats and capabilities, mainly because of his chameleon copy technique, but even also before all that, his bag was pretty deep when it came down to it. Rayo is also another player who subconsciously started to use Metavision due to Isagi and quickly started to pick up on it, mainly to help Nagi score more goals against Bastard Munich after making a crazy play with him breaking through Bastard's whole team and hitting the best goal in the Neo Eagles League and possibly in all of Blue Lock history. With Rayo on the left, we can also expect to see a great play between him and Chigiri. They have teamed up in the second selection and they both play for Manshine City currently, so getting that philosophy of speed and rush would just boost the team for sure. Now moving on to Isagi, I can already see the comments talking about, oh, DarkheroJosh, why didn't you put Isagi as the striker for this team in this, that, and the third? But once I reveal the strikers for this team, you guys are gonna understand that there wasn't really much wiggle room to this. Now throughout Blue Lock, Isagi pretty much inserted himself into the midfield by force. From the Japan U20 game to Bastard Munich, he's been the offensive midfielder, and that is because even though he isn't a crazy all-rounded player like Rayo, things like his offense, passing ability, and shooting were all pretty up there. So it would be pretty weird to not have him in the midfield at the very least. Now we know that Isagi has the best spatial awareness in the series, with his Metavision shown to be able to tear through Manshine City's entire team with only the help of Kurona. Now, although he doesn't have Kurona on this team, another player that he can heavily depend on is our boy Bachiro, also being on the right side. With this, we can see the OG Team Z duo in action once more and turn the right side of the field upside down. Obviously, with Isagi being the main character, I don't think I need to say and explain too much on what he's capable of, but overall, this team has a very strong midfield with two Metavision users with great knowledge of the game and overall brains to allow them to control the midfield with ease and have good chemical reactions with the wingers just if they need that extra piece to use in their play. Finally, we're down to our two main strikers being the Dark Horse Kunigami Rensuke and the King of Villains Baro Shoei. These two players have the highest shooting stats out of everyone that has come out of this stratum. We know that these two have some crazy range and power to their shots, so we know that they are more than qualified to handle this position on their own. Starting off with Kunigami as the left striker on this team, from the first selection we know that Kunigami was popping off with that strong left foot of his. With his range already being 29 meters, we see that in the game against Team V, he surpassed his limits and managed to pull off a crazy finesse shot from 40 meters away. We know that Kunigami's physique is also up there, managing to contest and mark second selection Baro, who was pretty much feared for his charging power, as he was reintroduced into the Neo Eagles League, and as we learned what the wildcard truly was to create a player with the same physique and physical abilities as Noel Noah, we see how much his stats have improved, with his range of shooting getting a massive increase as well. In the wildcard, he also became ambidextrous. Kunigami has become a lethal striker with the potential of rivaling the current #1 striker in terms of physical abilities and possibly even surpassing him one day. With him on the left side with Chigiri and Rayo, they can definitely spark up that second selection chemical reaction and help Kunigami score some crazy bangers now that they're all on the world class level. Now, I don't think I need to explain why Baro is in the striker position. I mean, he was one of the most dominant players at the start of the series in the first selection alongside Nagi, having the most goals in the stratum, I believe, with 10. After going through an awakening in the second selection due to Isagi, he's become more of an unpredictable joker card that can single-handedly throw the state of the field into complete chaos. Playing on a more efficient team like Ubers, we really saw how well his scoring ability is, managing to get a hat trick in his debut game against FC Barca. But after he quits his job on the Ubers, we see that the King hasn't lost his touch one bit and is still capable of turning the field into complete chaos and mass producing goals to crush his opponents. Stated to have the best qualities of a striker in this league and even among the world's best, Baro Shoei deserves his flowers and this position with no questions asked. With Baro on the same side as Isagi, they could definitely do their whole devouring each other act to help each other grow to new heights during the match. In short, with these two powerhouses of strikers with cannons for legs playing the dual striker role on this team, they could definitely overthrow the opponent and mass producing goals like there's no tomorrow, making their shots almost unsavable to the regular keeper. Overall, I think I did a pretty good job in building this team of players that played against each other in the same stratum in the first selection. But with that is the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment down below your thoughts on this formation or some changes that you want to make, or any other formations you guys want to see me build on the channel next. Reminders to go follow the socials like the Twitter and join the Discord to talk more about Blue Lock and things like that. But without further ado, I hope you guys do have a great day, and see ya.